No, I believe Nancy, you actually read the case study, but Honestbee itself is not really much in the Western market. So perhaps you can actually share a little bit. What do you think they could have done better based on the case study, and what do you know about the cases? Yeah.
So I think what happened with Honestbee, from taking a look at from a person that's not in the region and not familiar with Honestbee, what happens is I think a lot of diversification happened too quickly. So they got their funding, they got really excited, and then they just went, hey, you know what? Awesome, we can do this and we can do that. And then I think also too, maybe some of them became loss leaders, essentially that they're losing money. So they go, well, we're going to pivot into this. We're going to pivot into this. And so what happens is that they began to see things just not work out. And so that money is going away, the revenues is drying up. And then what ends up happening is that they're just kind of stuck going, what are we going to be able to do? Another thing too that I took a look through it as well is that the founders sometimes, and this is a very common occurrence as well, the people that start the company, they know how to be able to get the hustle on. They know how to be able to do the funding gain. They know how to be able to do those things. But what happens after they get the funding, they don't know how to scale. So what ends up happening is that they think that by going into doing different things, and we've seen this happen with WeWork, we saw this happen with even Uber, where they start doing Uber Eats, they start doing all these other things. And because of it, they're not concentrating on what their core was. So, we've seen the example where WeWork burned out, the CEO leaves, when in reality, what should have happening, especially in the Honestbee situation, they should have had people in the management group that were experienced in growing companies, not people in getting the initial funding and getting a little bit of scaling. So without having that ability to be able to do it, and maybe some people who have had the experience to do it, it ended up just kind of making things implode. And so what ended up happening is that, it just made the company collapse. And, I was reading through the case study, lots of litigation happening, lots of legal cases, they're suing people. And that has also to do with like not having a chief COO of who's managing the expenses, because they're suing over rentals of places. But the funny thing is, that's a common occurrence, especially in the startup world, where they get crazy and they start doing things like parties and excursions and buying property for the founders, and that ends up causing lots of problems.
The processes and the system are not in place,
Definitely.
and not tightly controlled. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.